Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Global Issues on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Today it's indeed a pleasure to have with us in Al-Hikmat studio Mr. Kevin Grace. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
It's really a pleasure to have you with us, and I'm sure our viewers will learn a lot from you, your experience and what you have to share with us on the show. And for the betterment of our viewers and our listening audience out there, Mr. Kevin Grace is the Executive Director of Miami Learning Experience School. He is a man with a lot of experience in the educational field. He has a BA in English, Education, an MA in Management and Leadership. So for all of you viewers out there who are interested in leadership, in education, here is the man we can talk to, his experience, his advice, and how we can learn and how we can benefit from his knowledge.
All praises are due to Allahu Allah. All praises are due to Allahu Allah. Allahu 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 Allah. Allahu Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Since 9/11, there has been a great fear of Islam.
We need Muslims, I always say, to speak up in this country.
Much of our Islamic community is perceived to be insular.
Most Americans have never met a Muslim or are not aware of having met a Muslim.
Most people don't have enough education in terms of what the entirety of Islam represents.
It's very easy to hate someone or to put stereotypes on people that you've never interacted with.
But do you think if Muslims were more integrated in society, in America, in the United States of America, then there would have been less anti-Muslim scenario?
I think it's even more important that our clergy speak up. They are, after all, the moral force in our community.
You see, the Islam that is celebrated is one which opens its doors.
Having this type of dialogue in terms of a community outreach, or
Something that Muslims have to do is go out just like you do and inviting non-Muslims to the iftar. And you do a lot of speaking to mixed groups.
We have to change the language from us versus them to a language of we.
I believe that if we can stand together against the forces of hatred and be unified in this country, then we can do wonderful things.
Bringing us together to enhance the beauty of humankind.
I think religion can be such a powerful force for unity.
Of course.
We've made it into this powerful force for disunity.
Keep trying to understand each other and care for each other and keep building a world community, because I believe that's what God wants for us all.
And I'm in their mosques and they're in my temple, and it's been a phenomenal experience. I've had a very warm and welcoming experience from all the brothers and sisters in the community.
that every human being is either your brother in faith or brother in humanity.
In Arabic, the word is lita'arafu, so that you will learn to understand one another.
And this is the truth of what it should be. You see, this is why I am so pleased to come here today, to support the work of Al-Hikmat.
The kind of intolerance and the violence that we see across the globe is rooted in ignorance, which we can overcome by teaching.
Yes.
Also
yes.
rooted in fear, which we can overcome by experiencing, where we can actually live in each other's presence. You know, it's rooted in this myopic kind of my way only, rather than this understanding that maybe all of us have more in common, and at the core of who we are is this truly global family that we belong to.
I'd like to say what a joy and pleasure it is to have Shaikh Shafayat as my friend, as my teacher, as my co-worker in the vineyard of Allah, God, where we work together to make this world a better place, to do God's work, to do the work which we are commanded to do as human beings.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Global Issues on Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Today it's indeed a pleasure to have with us in Al-Hikmat studio Mr. Kevin Grace. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today.
It's really a pleasure to have you with us, and I'm sure our viewers will learn a lot from you, your experience and what you have to share with us on the show. And for the betterment of our viewers and our listening audience out there, Mr. Kevin Grace is the Executive Director of Miami Learning Experience School. He is a man with a lot of experience in the educational field. He has a BA in English, education, an MA in management and leadership. So for all of you viewers out there who are interested in leadership, in education, here is the man we can talk to, his experience, his advice, and how we can learn and how we can benefit from his knowledge. So thank you very much again.
Again, thank
you. For being on the show with us. So tell us a little bit, Mr. Kevin, sir. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Albany, New York, so upstate New York, which is a different life from New York City, which is what people often think of when you say that you're from the state of New York. It is a very quiet place, yet a very interesting place to live, with lots of wonderful schools, wonderful health care, and certainly the nature and the beauty of the natural surroundings that encompass upstate New York.
So that's how it is different to the regular New York City.
Exactly.
Well, so when you talk about America and you talk about the class of New York, that's the area.
Yes. Yes,
it's a whole different kettle of fish, as we say.
Very different. A lot of people from upstate often refer to themselves as the other New York.
Wow. You mean the people, I hope people don't misunderstand us, but you mean the people are a little more refined.
No, I wouldn't even go.
I'm just trying to put words in your mouth for our audience to understand what's going on, because everybody flying to New York and they fly out. People, our viewers are very international, very global. So most of the people, foreigners, will dip into the New York City and not have a clue of what you're talking about.
Right. It's a little bit more relaxed way of living than living in New York City.
So it's not just the concrete jungle of New York City.
New York is much more than that, yes.
It's more a living area.
Yeah, definitely.
It's life, it's class, it's professionalism.
Yes.
Wow. So you see, that's why it's such a pleasure and honor to have you with us in Al-Hikmat studio and on Al-Hikmat TV and on this show, Global Issues. So what motivated you to get involved in education? Education is such an important thing today. A lot of people get into education, and when I say get into education, I mean they go to universities, they go to colleges, they go to schools, basically to make an income for financial reasons. So they simply do a subject or get into a career. But you have gone into the career of education. You see, there's a difference.
There's
a difference in just doing law to make money, just doing accounts to make money, just studying medicine to make money. But studying education, I mean, that's deep.
And I think the core to it, and I say this frequently, it goes back to my parents who worked very hard to make sure that their 5 children, I am one of 5, that we all had a solid education, something that they necessarily did not have. And I know it can sound trite occasionally to say that, but they worked hard, and education was a priority in our family. And that left an impression on me then that I needed to help further that for others. And then it also comes from an inner calling of mine to really try to make a difference in the world. And what better way of doing that than by working with the young people and providing them a platform where they have a voice, and where you can work with them to understand that their voice has purpose, their voice has meaning, and providing that type of empowerment for the youth of the world.
Yeah, because studying education in itself, you know, I have seen in my experience with people who study education and got a degree in education, I see them being a different kind of thinkers. They think differently. They really think differently because they're all into education, knowledge, thinking, how to better this field of education for people to benefit, as opposed to, I mean, an income, financial benefits, that's the bonus.
Right.
But as opposed to someone only studying to make money. You know, a lot of times people who study only to make money, they drop out when they find another way to make money faster than being in school. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, and there is nothing wrong with
Nothing is wrong.
And there's nothing wrong with making money. I often joke that the more money I make, the more money I give away.
Of course, the more good you can do.
Exactly.
So nothing is wrong. You're totally right, and I'm totally for that. Nothing is wrong. But in the field of education, I mean, it's a whole different class, a different kind of thinking, a different kind of vision. And that's why you would have gone into leadership, because it makes a lot of sense. When you get into education, it automatically leads you into management, into leadership, into training, guiding people.
Yes, you can't be standing in front of a classroom of 20, 30, 14-year-olds and not have management skills.
Yeah. So what motivated you now to get a MA into management and into leadership? Because leadership is a big thing. You know, every second seminar you see nowadays, they're teaching you leadership, management, business, schools. You know, every department technically on this planet Earth, companies, etc., they try to teach people management and leadership.
And I think that's the link. That's the bridge, I think, between skill set and practice. So when you have a certain skill set, you can go through the motions and you have that raw talent of the skill to lead, and then there's the actual practice. And sometimes there's a disconnect, but I think having that background in management and leadership builds that bridge and brings the skill set and the practice into something that is productive and purposeful.
Yes, because once upon a time people would just hire someone and they will just work and they will just earn, which is excellent. But in recent times, I have noticed most companies, most schools, most institutions, they have started trying to get their workers and their employees in some way or the other to understand management and leadership better, because they have seen more production,
especially
with people.
Yes, and especially in this society of different types of employment and different workforces. The workforce that we have today is very mobile, and you need to have you need to keep up with that and keep up with those changes and learn how to manage people from 1,000 miles away.
Yes.
Something that we didn't do 10, 20 years ago.
And I think America is very unique with that. You know, I travel all over the world, and I must say that America does have more people with that kind of skills, professionalism of management and leadership, because you go into some other countries and they take everything for granted.
Right.
But here you will notice workers, customer service, even if you walk into Walmart, you walk into any regular store, you know, generally the employees are sort of trained how to do management and leadership, at least with the customers.
Correct.
And you see that basically mostly in America.
Interesting.
I'm not saying other countries don't do it.
Right, but the focus is not as
much
prevalent as it is here.
America, it's more class. You can see that style. And because our program goes worldwide, I want our viewers to understand how important that is. Because that can frustrate visitors, foreigners into a country. You know, you get into the place, you see the immigration officers don't care, the drivers, the taxi drivers, the stores. It's like nobody cares. It's a sort of haphazard operation, lackadaisical kind of operation. And I think that's why America has taken the lead in that.
And you see here, when that doesn't happen, you're no longer in existence.
Of course, you can be fired like that.
Yes, and your business can close just like that when you don't have that same type of professionalism, that same type of customer service, that same type of attention to detail.
Because you're a leader in that field and that job and that position that you are into. So I think you are blessed to have an MA degree in management and leadership. That is very unique. Tell us a little bit about the International Youth Leadership Program that you were involved with, because youths, again, that's a major part of society. That age, that era, very important.
And I think even more so today with the advances in technology and social media and mass communication. A lot of the movement is geared toward the youth, and the youth have embraced that. Now, certainly, those of us who are a little older have been pushed into using it as well, but they are the ones that are using it to its utmost, and they are also the ones that are going to bring the next advancements, and it's going to be making the world even that much more smaller as we globalize our communication. So working with young people and youth internationally has been a real eye-opening and a wonderful experience for me in the previous place where I worked at, Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership, or HOBY as it is known. And bringing together youth from whether it's a small local community and then expanding their viewpoint on a statewide level, and then on a regional level, and then on a national level, and then occasionally on an international level. You see their understanding of each other, and you see they start to see the similarities that they have with others. And that's what then creates dialogue, when you can find that commonality. And that, as I said, that starts dialogue. And once you start dialogue, you start understanding, and you start breaking down walls, and you start breaking down barriers between people.
And of course, listen, youth are so interesting that when you hang around young people, you start to think young.
Yes.
You start to feel very youthful. It's interesting when I go around and do lectures with young people and the youth, the kind of questions they ask you, it makes you really think. It makes you feel younger. It sends you back to your younger days, and you start thinking youthful, feeling youthful. So not only are they just unique on their own, but they create an impact on people who are older than them. It's a powerful era.
It is, and it's wonderful to sit and watch that happen. And you're right, it does make us all start to think and feel younger. I just wish, as my body ages, that was able to keep up with my mind.
Yes, and the body, right?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what were you doing, and what was your involvement basically with this international youth leadership, what you call. Well, tell us a little bit on HOBY. Who or what is HOBY?
So HOBY started in the 1950s. It was founded by the actor Hugh O'Brien, who was he portrayed the character Wyatt Earp on American television westerns.
And I'm sure viewers who used to look at that and television in those days will know what you're talking about.
They will certainly know. His name was known across the globe if you were of that generation and followed American westerns.
Yeah, there are a lot of people love American westerns.
Yes. Oh, yes.
They just love it. Yeah.
And Hugh, when his career as a western star was ending, he decided that he would take a trip to West Africa to meet with Dr. Albert Schweitzer, one of his heroes. And after spending 2 weeks with Dr. Schweitzer, he was asked by the doctor what he planned on doing with his newfound knowledge, which I love that was a question posed to someone. What are you going to do with your newfound knowledge after spending 2 weeks with me? I think it's just a wonderful question to ask someone, and because I think we can always all gain knowledge from each other.
Yes, yes.
And Hugh's response was he was going to go back to the States and start a youth leadership organization, which he did that year. Started off very small, and to this day they continue. They are in every state in the United States, and
they're under the name of International Youth Leadership.
Yes, and they're in several different countries, and they hold what they call their World Leadership Congress every year in Chicago, where they bring together hundreds of students from across the globe to share their experiences and to, again, learn about each other and empower themselves to become leaders in their communities or on a global stage. And it's completely run by volunteers with a very small core staff. And there are over 4,000 volunteers every year that put together these weekend leadership seminars for high school students throughout the United States. Yes.
And other countries.
And in other countries as well, yes.
So what was your direct job with them?
I was the director of national programs, so my role then was to support the volunteers and to help provide them with resources and any type of support that they would need at the local level.
So you would make these national events happen?
The volunteers made them happen.
And you worked with the volunteers?
I worked with the volunteers.
You managed the volunteers?
I was behind the scene managing the volunteers.
I mean, that's very important. That's the foundation. That's the backbone.
It certainly is. But again, I think one of the greatest characteristics of a great leader is also humility. And I will always give the credit to the volunteers.
Yes, yes.
Always.
I mean, I'm just saying that with you here, but that's one of the signs of your leadership quality.
Yes.
When you give credit to the volunteers that you yourself have empowered.
Yes.
Because if you do not give credit to your volunteers, then it means that you did not empower them.
Exactly. And they turn around and work to empower the 10,000 youth that go through their program every year.
Yes, yes, that is interesting.
And this is an organization that now has had over 500,000 young people go through it since its inception.
500,000.
Started with a 2-week trip to meet the person's inspirational hero.
Wow.
With one question of, what do you plan on doing with your newfound knowledge? And that question has now led to the empowerment and the inspiration for over 500,000 young people.
I think that is so powerful. That is so, because these youths are the leaders of tomorrow.
They are.
And it's important that they understand this coming together and this exposure of leadership and dynamism and motivation and community service, etc. That is so very important. A lot of people miss that.
Absolutely, and you know, we don't have to look very far. We see, you know, young leaders in our schools. We see them in our communities. We see them in our churches. They are everywhere, and it's our responsibility to encourage them to find their voice, to find what they are passionate about, and to support them as much as we possibly can so that they can make a difference in their world.
Yes, yes, yes. And I know your pin here says, "May peace prevail on earth."
Yes.
And we really want to talk about that because peace is such a global issue nowadays. Peace is one of the most, if not the most important thing on earth right now, because you can have everything, and if you don't have peace within you, peace around you, you're not happy.
Exactly.
You're really not happy. You know, that's why most of the religions today, they greet you with peace. Jesus would greet people peace. In Judaism, it's shalom, peace. In Islam, it's assalamu alaikum, peace. Very interesting how the world spins around this word peace, this word peace. Sometimes you have nothing to say to somebody and just say peace, sir.
And it goes to what you said. It's peace within and peace around. So when you are greeted with peace, it is also very customary to repeat it back.
Yes.
Because it's not just inside, but it is also around us.
And I know we didn't talk about your experience and your involvement with Miami Learning Experience School, where you deal with children with special needs. So would you believe we have already been speaking for approximately 25 minutes?
No, I would not.
Time just goes.
It does.
Because it's so interesting. And you have been sharing those experiences, which is so interesting. And when you are involved in something interesting, time just goes.
It does. It does.
So when we come back, we're going to go on a short break.
Okay.
When we come back, we want to talk a little bit. We want our viewers out there to have a little idea on what you do and what this school does for children with special needs, which is a very important issue in today's time. Very important. I know we talk about youth leadership, etc. And we will also talk a little bit about peace, because that's the whole thing. Peace. You had a program recently at the school on the peace pole. What is the peace pole about? Why the peace pole? Why is it so important for us to have peace prevail on earth? So when we come back, stay tuned. After this short break, we're going to continue talking to Mr. Kevin Grace on the school where he is the executive director for students or children of special needs. We're going to talk a little bit about peace on earth, why we need peace on earth, how important it is to have peace on earth, and how important it is to have peace prevail on earth. Stay tuned.
When we educate the world, ignorant Muslims as well as non-Muslims, about Islam, the message of the Qur'an, the lifestyle of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then those ignorant people and those people with hate out there, we may not be able to convince everyone, but inshallah, bi'idhnillah, we will be able to convince most of them.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the believers in their mutual kindness, compassion and sympathy are just like one body. When any part of the body suffers, the whole body feels pain.
We don't wake up and spread this message of Islam and get people to understand the true message of the Quran and the true life pattern and conduct of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, people will have this sort of hate against us. But the world has 1.5 billion Muslims, beautiful masjids. Muslims got everything, but yet you got a lot of haters, and you got a man shooting people on March 15th in New Zealand. These buildings and these schools did not stop that. We got to spread the message to eradicate that hate and that misunderstanding against Islam and Muslims in the world. The beautiful buildings won't do that.
Assalamu alaikum. Allah gives hikmat, wisdom, to whomsoever He wills. And whomsoever is given wisdom is certainly given a lot of good. Only the people of understanding will benefit from the reminder. Tune in to Al Hikmah TV for khutbahs, lectures, and Islamic reminders. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Global Issues on Al Hikmah TV 24/7 online. Once more, it is a pleasure to have with us in Al Hikmah studio Mr. Kevin Grace. Mr. Kevin Grace, for those of you who have just tuned in, Mr. Kevin Grace is the Executive Director of Miami Learning Experience School. And we have been talking to him before we went on the short break about his background and his degree and his BA in English and Education, his MA in Management and Leadership, his experience with the youth and involvement in youth events throughout the United States. And now we want to continue our discussion with Mr. Kevin on his experience and what he does at this Miami Learning Experience School with children of special needs. So tell us a little bit, when we say children of special needs, what really we're talking about here?
Well, the school was founded 42 years ago.
Oh, you kidding?
No, we've been in existence for 42 years.
Right in Miami?
Right in Miami, yes.
Wow.
And the reason the school started was 3 families were looking for services for their children who were born with Down syndrome. Mm-hmm. And there were no suitable services for their children at that time. So they got together in the garage of one of their homes and started the school.
Interesting, interesting.
And as more families came on board, then they went to a facility, hired more teachers, and now 42 years later, we are at our current location, and we not only serve children, but we also serve adults as well, because those children grow up.
And they have become adults.
And they become adults whether we want them to
and
or
you're
not.
In a very unique place. Beautiful, nice, and it's a beautiful facility.
Yes, it really is. We're located in South Miami. We're on 3.5 acres is where our school is located. We have multiple buildings that serve both the school children and the adults. So we are truly blessed in that way to have such a beautiful facility. Mm-hmm. But in those 42 years, things have changed as well.
So what sort of age were you looking at?
Right now, we go from 5 to 46.
Interesting.
And the 46-year-old was there almost from the beginning.
Wow.
Yes.
That is interesting. That makes that school so unique. It's not every school that people remain for 40 years.
No, and that's the...
Where in the world do you have a school a person remains for 40 years?
And that's the unique thing about our families as well, and for all families with children with special needs. When the children go to school, a typically developing child goes to school, their formal education ends at a certain age. Whether you go on for a bachelor's degree or a graduate degree or a doctorate degree. And again, that's not to say that our education ends at any time, but our formal education does usually come to an end for most of us.
Yes.
But for children with special needs, it never ends.
It never ends, yeah.
So the commitment from our parents is a lifetime commitment for the care and the education of their child and then their adult child.
So what are some of the special needs we're talking about? I mean, for the benefit of our viewers, because they may, in different countries, they use different terminology. So when we say special needs, children of special needs, what sort of children are we talking about? Like example, a few of special needs.
So for example, when the school started, it was for children with Down syndrome only. And today we serve children with Down syndrome, we serve children on the autism spectrum, which is a very wide spectrum and includes a lot of subcategories. We do have some children with cerebral palsy, and then other exceptionalities, whether they are a single exceptionality or sometimes they're dual diagnoses. So we have some children who have autism and Down syndrome.
And that is very sensitive. Dealing with such students, wow, that's very sensitive.
Yes.
That takes a lot of care.
It takes
a lot of TLC, tender love and care.
It takes a family. Is what it takes, and many of our parents will say that our teachers, and when they send their children to our school, it is like sending them to an extension of their family. Our teachers are extremely caring and compassionate individuals, and they have to be to provide the type of care and the type of education that is provided at the school.
And you have to go the extra mile, the 9 yards to provide education for these children.
Absolutely, and
With
our
a lot of
teachers
care.
do. And our teachers do.
Wow.
Everything they do is individualized for each child.
Something very interesting. When I came down to the facility at that peace pole ceremony on 9/11, it was 9/11 day, right?
Yes, it was.
9/11/19, 2019.
Yes.
I observed the parents. I mean, of course, I admired the students who performed, and their performances really phenomenal, wonderful. But when I looked at the audience and I looked at the parents, you know, I go to many different programs, lectures, interfaith, whatever, different categories, political, religious, different types of audiences. But there was something very unique in that audience. And it really made an impact in my heart. I looked at the parents, I looked at the audience, of course, who were comprised of 99% the parents and their families.
Yes.
And I saw a different kind of affection, a different kind of warmth, a different kind of peace in their reaction, those who were there. Because, you know, after the program, I went down and there were refreshments, had a little cookie, a glass of juice, and some of the parents, we were talking. And I could have felt that love and that affection. And I was like, these people don't know me. I don't know them. Yes, of course. But it was not a communication like just meeting people. Hi, how you doing? Wonderful speech. It wasn't. Yes, a lot of people tell you that when you go out. But it was a different feeling. These people, like they were talking from their hearts. And when I was driving, coming back home, I started thinking that definitely God has given these parents a different level of thinking. Because here they got children. And I'm sure some of them are very wealthy, very educated, you know, different categories. And they have children of special needs. It puts them to be thinkers of a different level. They will think, they will have a different heart, a different love, because they got to put extra care and love for their children. And now they would want to love people more because they want to be loved. That's interesting. These parents want love. They will give love to their children. The children need love. There's a lot of love passing around here, a lot of affection, a lot of care. And automatically, anyone they meet, because if you have peace here, you'd want to share it there. If you have love here, you'll want to share it there. And I could have felt that warmth to them. Honestly, there are a lot of people who shake my hands. Hello, how you doing? Wonderful speech, nice, a beautiful program, nice to have you. But it was a different depth from their voice and their heart. And I'm not really kidding, believe me. I'm so happy to be talking to you to share that. We never got to talk about that after that Peace Bowl program. Do you share these feelings that I experienced?
I could not agree with you more. And it goes to that whole concept of peace as well. And that, you know, and we all want peace inside and we all want peace then outside and surrounding us. And I think when you're the parent of a child with special needs, you truly recognize that. I don't want to limit it there, but we were talking about this particular experience because I think any marginalized group feels the same way in many respects.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, they're not just marginalized for themselves, they're marginalized for their child, because they don't have that marginalization. It's their child that does. And usually when you talk about people who are marginalized, it's a group, and everyone who belongs to that group. And yet here, it's the child. So whether it's the look that a parent sees from a stranger in a mall as their child is having a breakdown because of their condition, whether it's that stare, whether it's that simple just misunderstanding, whether it's someone who takes advantage of their child because of their openness and their ability to love everyone unconditionally.
And there is no closer connection among human beings. I don't think there is a closer connection by nature and naturally among human beings than a connection with a child and a parent.
Exactly. So when you now have this parent of someone who needs more care and is vulnerable to a world that is not always kind.
Oh, wow. I think I needed to repeat that. Vulnerable to a world that is not always kind. Wow. That's the world we really live into, huh?
It is, and that's the world of a parent of a child with special needs.
Wow.
So when you saw that love and that you saw that openness, it was a breath of fresh air for those parents to have someone like you standing in front of them, letting them know that there are people out there and that there is a movement out there, not just for them and for their child, but for all children in the world to find peace, whether it is about your politics, whether it is about your race, whether it is about your gender, whether it is about any of the things, whether it is about your financial situation, any of those things. Those are the things that keep us separate. Those are the things that keep us from having peace.
Yes, yes.
And in that room, there was nothing but love. And in that room, all of those people were at peace. So, at that particular moment.
Yes.
And
there were people of different faiths.
Many different faiths.
Cultures and backgrounds.
And that's one of the...
And you felt that one positive love of peace.
Yes.
Love and peace.
And, you know, when we talk about the peace pole and what brought us, you and I, together for the very first time.
Yes.
In that room, there were several hundred people, and yet the focus was on one obelisk, one image. And yet on that image, there were 8 different languages spoken.
Yes.
But they all said the same words.
Yes.
May peace prevail on earth. The messages were about that one phrase, may peace prevail on earth. And our families do their best, and they are wonderful examples of peace, as we just talked about. And this symbol now stands in the center of our complex as a reminder, as a visual reminder, because we, again, when we have those moments when someone doesn't treat us respectfully or treat us with peace and kindness, we need sometimes those reminders.
Yes.
And my hope in doing this ceremony was that this simple obelisk alone doesn't bring peace, but it reminds us of that moment when we all stood and sat together and we shared the peace of that room.
Truly.
So when we have those dark moments and we pass by that pole, we're reminded that there is hope, that there is a ray of sunshine, that there is the possibility of peace even in the darkest of our times.
You know, God has created us in different languages or with different languages, different colors, different cultures, different nations, different tribes. But it's so important that we try to understand each other. And I like the thing about the Peace Pole having different languages. Even though we may speak different languages, that does not, and that should not be a wall towards us all striving towards peace. Because we can say, let peace prevail on earth in all different languages. And you don't need to be saying it in the same language to mean it or to live it.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that makes it more beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we always still have work to do. As long as there is someone living without food, without clean water, without a home or shelter, we need to always be working to bring that person to peace. You can't have peace when you have need. It's very difficult to have peace when there are people who have needs.
It's a very fine line.
It is an extreme fine line.
Fine line, yeah. Extreme, wow. It's a strange time, but you know, someone were asking me, or they were telling me recently that, you know, we live in a different world, we live in a different time. And I'm like, yeah, we live in a different time, we live in a different technological world, a different geographical shape. We are adding land to the oceans. Yes, things have changed. But what about the human body? We didn't change. We got the same heart, the same brain, the same human body. You know, we should not let the things that have changed around us change us. We are the ones, human beings are the ones who have changed the shape of the materialistic world.
Correct.
And we should not let the materialistic world change us. We were human beings, and we are human beings, and we got to think like human beings. And you know, you have been talking about the children of special needs, and while you're saying that, I am thinking at the bottom of my heart now, at a different level here, that technically speaking, the parents are also parents of special needs.
Yes.
Wouldn't you think that?
Absolutely.
Because if you have children of special needs, therefore the parents themselves need some TLC, some tender love and care. They need some affection. Because sometimes they may feel down. They themselves will go through a kind of Down syndrome, even though they physically is not going through a Down syndrome. Physically.
Right.
But because their children have a Down syndrome or special need, but mentally, psychologically, they are. And I think they are in that world of a special need. And they probably will need some more. So that's sort of, what I'm saying is that sort of peace pole ceremony that you had, it sort of make them feel that I'm not alone.
Yes.
There are other parents with me. There are other people with me. There are other people who care for us. And they're not alone in their own little problems. Because I'm sure parents would feel like that.
How could you not? You know, while the children, as all children, bring such joy into their lives, there are also those times when you worry, and you worry about their future, and you worry about what will happen when you're gone, and those are very difficult times for parents to have to come to that realization.
Yes. Because now you hear financially you can take care of these kids with special needs, but sometimes you do worry about that. So do you guys have other programs? I don't know, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot.
That's fine.
But like programs for the parents?
We
motivate them on a different level. I know it's a whole different category now we're talking about.
It is, and we do some work with our parents. We hold monthly parent workshops for them on a variety of different topics, and oftentimes it's topics that are generated from the parents, and what they needs that they're feeling at that time.
Excellent. And you probably have your own level of counseling for parents and all these things.
We have referrals that we certainly can make to parents.
Because I'm sure they need it, I'm sure. I mean, time is just going. We down, you know, we have been speaking for another 25 minutes. We got a few more minutes again that we can just wind down. So tell us very briefly, we've spoken about the peace and the peace pole, but a little bit about the origin of the peace pole for viewers to benefit from.
Right, so peace poles and where we acquired our Peace Pole from was through an organization called the Peace Pole Project. And there are peace poles in just about every country of the world. There are hundreds of thousands of them out there. And sometimes they are in very obscure places, and sometimes they are in extremely public places. A lot of different faiths have installed peace poles at their places of worship. There are entire parks with multiple peace poles in them. And again, it's just that simple message of may peace prevail on earth. And it transcends religion, it transcends politics. It is one of those intrinsic things that we all, I hope, I'd like to think that we all wish for each other.
Yes. So that, it has nothing. It doesn't categorize any people, any tribe, any religion, any nation. Just come together for peace.
Just come together for peace.
Wow, that is so interesting. Well, as I said, we got 2 or 3 minutes again. What else would you like to share with our listening audience? What else you would like to say in conclusion as we come to the end of the program?
Probably the biggest thing is that when you see people with special needs, try to understand where they are coming from, what their history is. And it's always okay to ask questions. And most of the time, parents or caregivers are always willing to talk about the condition that their child has so that they can educate each of us. And I think once we get that education, once we have that understanding about the individual, then we have a much better understanding of the struggles that they encounter. And instead of looking at them with even pity, because that's the last thing that they want. They just want to be understood so that they can be productive citizens of whatever organization, whatever group, whatever country they live in. People with special needs just want to be productive and know that they too have value and purpose in our world.
Yes, that's so true. Again, before we close, this is so interesting, On the context of peace, a lot of times people believe you got to be of the same religion, you got to be the same nationality, the same language, or whatever the same to have peace. But that is so wrong. You don't have to agree with someone to have peace with someone. You don't have to agree or be of the same color or the same language with someone to have peace. Actually, that's the blend. That's the blend of having, opposite thoughts, beliefs, cultural background, coming together to love each other and have affection. You don't have to be the same person or the same religion or be of the same, like a doctor getting married to a lawyer. Do you have to be a lawyer to marry a lawyer?
Right.
Oh, do you have to be in the same field to understand somebody else? No, I don't think so. What do you have to share with that?
Yeah, it is so true. And I think, we all have diverging beliefs and diverging thoughts on many, many topics. And it's almost like, how do you get to peace and how do you appreciate peace if you don't have conflict in the first place?
Yeah.
But the key is that it is about disagreement with civility. And,
I like that. That's powerful.
And understanding each other. And that's where, as an educator, it is about educating people about our differences. And I'm still not necessarily going to agree, but I now know why you think this particular way, or why you believe this particular issue. I'm not going to always agree with you, but I understand it.
Yes.
And then I want to try and find out what that one common thing is that allows us to then talk and to dialogue and Today's conversation is a clear example of that. We do come from very different backgrounds.
Of course, of course.
And yet we can leave here today with a common message. And that common message is peace.
Yes. Yes, let there be peace, and let peace prevail on earth. And you do not have to necessarily agree with someone to be in peace with that person. You don't have to.
Do not.
You could have different opinions on a matter, and it doesn't have to be a wall in separating you and not having peace. You know, that's a major mistake that people make. They gotta, oh, I don't agree with him, so then you don't want to have peace with the person. No, why do we make that agreement a condition to have peace? That's just an issue that we disagree over. We disagree over the color of a car, the color of a house, the color of a subject, the color of whatever, you know, color, the degree, the subject matter. It doesn't matter, but that should not stop us from having peace. I like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin Grayson. It has been a pleasure talking to Mr. Kevin Grace, who is the Executive Director of Miami Learning Experience School, a man with a lot of experience out there in education. He has a BA in education, in English, MA in management and leadership, for those of you who have just tuned in. And we have been able to benefit a lot, and I'm sure viewers worldwide would have benefited a lot from Mr. Kevin Grace, what he had to say, what he had to share in his experience, and that should encourage all of us to work towards having peace prevail on earth. Thank you very much, and stay tuned to Al-Hikmat TV 24/7 online. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
All praises are due to Allahu Allah. All praises are due to Allahu Allah. Allahu 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 Allah. Allahu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you would like to dedicate copies of one of these publications as Sadaqah Jariyah, continuous blessings for your parents or dear ones who have passed away, or fi sabilillah, in the path of Allah, please give us a call so we can place your names on these dedicated publications. You can call us at 954-986-0158, or you can also visit us at www.alhikmat.com.
Allah is the creator of different faces. Allah is the creator of all races. Allahu, 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 Allah.
Royal Bengal Trading, importer, exporter, wholesaler of Bangladeshi Indo-Pak groceries and spices. We specialize in various authentic Indian masalas, juices, flours, rices, and spices. We offer exclusive brands as Ocean Pearl, Shan, National, Tilda, Himani, and many, many more. We're located at 36B Coroni Savannah Road, Charlieville, Chaguanas, Trinidad and Tobago. You can call us at 473-4676 or call 476-3117. Email us at wahabdk@gmail.com. Now open Sajida exclusive for all of your Islamic and casual wear. We carry a large selection of silk route and al-karam gowns, scarves, hijabs, hijab pins, and many other accessories. We have exclusive Swarovski gold-filled and sterling silver jewelry. We are located in store 143, Coroni Savannah Road, Charlieville, Chaguanas, located on the opposite side of TNT Chicken Hut. For more info, you can call 328-6682 or 295-5400.
Fens, the single largest specialty retailer of residential and office furniture, consumer electronics, home appliances, and household items in Trinidad and Tobago. At Fens, we offer a large selection of high-quality products, honest and reliable service. We are passionate about serving you, and we're proud of the standard of excellence upheld by our knowledgeable staff, friendly delivery teams, and dedicated customer care associates. Visit Fens First, your friendly furniture, appliance, and electronic dealer since 1960.
सारे जहां को दीन मिला, बेदीनों ने कलमा पढ़ा, ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह, तेरे सदक़े में आका सारे जहां को दीन मिला, बेदीनों ने कलमा
Truly he is the one, he has no father or son.